Several significant developments out of Belgium at this hour. U.S. intelligence officials tell CBS News that they are investigating the possibility that the two suicide bombers at the Brussels airport may have been targeting Americans. The explosions occurred close to several encounters where U.S. airlines operate. The dual attack killed more than 31 people and injured more than 300 others from more than 40 nations. Also new, the Associated Press is reporting that ISIS has trained hundreds of fighters to attack European countries in waves. According to the report, the group has been instructed on selecting targets and locations that will inflict, quote, maximum carnage. Jeff Pegues joins us now. And Jeff, I want to get to the top of what we were just talking about, that U.S. officials now looking into whether Americans were targeted. Can you tell me what you know?
Yeah, this is something that a U.S. government official mentioned to me, that as part of their investigation into this, and they're working with Belgian officials, sharing as much as they know, but they're also looking at the airport surveillance video, the images that you've seen over and over again about these suspects, the suicide bombers, the three men in that image that has been released. So they've been analyzing that image, and they know that at least one of the explosions went off in the area of where U.S. airlines operate. This is an international terminal where this happened, but the explosions happened near where U.S. airlines operate. And so what has not been ruled out is that these attackers were trying to send some sort of symbolic message by detonating these explosives where they did. So that's what U.S. intelligence officials are looking into, U.S. investigators are looking into, and that's what I was told by a government official.
Jeff, we're showing the picture of the suspects right now on the screen, and it's a very clear image. That's also somewhat odd to investigators, isn't it?
Well, it's rare that you get such a clear image of attackers like this, and then you look at what they're wearing. Again, looking at this symbolism here, the two on the left are dressed with black tops at least, and they both have the black glove. And CBS News has learned that investigators believe that glove may have been used, those gloves may have been used to hide some sort of detonator. And then you have the man on the right, the far right in the white coat. His face is sort of covered up. He has the hat over his head. The other two, they're showing their faces. Now, was that a signal of pride in the martyrdom operation, as they would call it? So analysts are looking at this. These investigators, they look at these things. They try to figure out if there is any evidence that they can gather from these images.
I have to ask you, if they are looking at symbolism and they're now concerned that they were targeting those U.S. airline counters, do we have more concern here in the United States, or what did your official tell you about what we need to be looking at here?
Well, it is no secret, not only in intelligence and law enforcement circles, that ISIS is intent on attacking targets in the West, including, of course, the United States. ISIS propaganda has stated as much over and over again. So that is not a surprise that they would, if it is true that they were targeting U.S. interests overseas, that is not a surprise to investigators.
I want to go ahead and ask you, too, while I have you, about this Associated Press report saying that ISIS has dispatched at least 400 fighters to carry out attacks in Europe, that they're looking for the right time and the right place to carry out these attacks. It would seem from this attack and from the Paris attack that could be the case. Do you know anything about this report?
Well, that was the concern in the wake of the Paris attacks, that there were these waves of attacks planned. ISIS has threatened more attacks. If you listen to the propaganda that they continue to send out through social media and through other means. So the numbers may vary, and I'm not sure where the Associated Press got those numbers, but there has been this concern about foreign fighters going over to Syria and Iraq, training there, learning how to fight on these battlefields, and then going back to Europe. That is what this concern is all about. They are coming back from these battlefields trained to kill. And that's what investigators have really been concerned about, as you know, since the attacks in Paris and now Belgium, of course. These attacks in Brussels reinforce what officials there and really in the U.S. have been concerned about for some time, is that these ISIS sympathizers, operatives, carrying out waves of attacks in Europe, and obviously attempting to do the same here in the U.S. That is the concern of law enforcement officials across the globe.
Do we know if U.S. airlines will be doing anything differently, whether in Europe or here in America at this point, now that this information may be coming out that they may have been directly targeted?
Well, we don't know if U.S. airlines will change their approach. Again, this is something that U.S. investigators are looking at. It has not been ruled out, but it certainly is not something that they have settled on at this point. So obviously, U.S. airlines are paying attention to what is going on. The Department of Homeland Security is following developments closely, as is the TSA. But for right now, there have been no changes in terms of how U.S. airlines are operating in that area.
Jeff Pegues, always appreciate your insight. Thanks for joining us.